Cafe Anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Welcome to Mike's Daily Podcast, broadcasting from Cafe Anyway, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley, Mont. This is not an NBC production. It's an MEUC production. And I am Mike Matthews. Today, we are going to have the wonderful segment called the Mikelopedia Insantica, because
Mike's Daily Podcast.
a bunch of insane things happened yesterday. Plus, we'll hear from
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Shelley Shuhart Floyd, the floor man, and John Deere, the engineer. And I'd like to say one thing that's very clear, and that is Mike Matthews gets interrupted all the time. I'm talking to you now, and yeah, it's fine, but like, people interrupt me. I'm an interruptible guy.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Why? I don't know. I feel as if I try to compensate
Mike's
for my tallness
Daily
by letting people have
Podcast.
the floor.
Yeah.
The floor is on fire. I hope it's not. I'd be in trouble if the floor was on fire. But oh, the floor is on fire here at Cafe Anyway. Oh no!
Busted eardrums.
Sorry. Let's put that floor out now. Oh look, who's here? Right now, that just walked in. One of our many characters at Cafe Anyway. It's a Cafe Anyway character here at Cafe Anyway. Anyway. Right now. Hello, Mike Matthews. It's Shelley Shuhart, the gift shop supervisor. I didn't mean to interrupt you. No, that's fine. You know, people interrupt each other all the time here in the world, it seems. Look who else is here. Oh, Mike, this is Floyd, the floor man. And this is John Deere, the engineer. Mike, you have to just talk louder than other people like I do. Talk loud? You don't even talk. You're mumbling. You need to. Yeah, I guess I mumble a little bit. I can't help it. You can't help it? No. Okay. Somebody once told me, someone that works for the TuneIn radio app, that I was being played, my show was being played there to the guy that runs TuneIn. And
here's today's podcast picture.
And I believe the following words came out of his mouth. What the hell is this place anyway? Or maybe
I
he
can't
said this.
believe. What the hell is this place anyway?
Whatever. It's either here nor there, over there, up there, or what the hell is that over there?
You've got to be kidding me.
That's crazy. Is that a bull? It is. Wow. Who let the bull into Cafe Anyway? It's like a bull in a china shop. The podcast picture today is of the wonderful lake called Gunnersville Lake Gunnersville. It's near Huntsville, Alabama. As I mentioned in a previous show just this week about the country miles in Alabama, how everything is so far and spread out. This took forever to get to from my house, but I used to like going to it. And this is like a little beach there. And oh my gosh, I just realized in the picture, can we zoom in on this right now? Because that'll be so effective here on the podcast. In the lower left-hand corner, I believe there's a cup sitting on a log, and I never noticed that before. A cup on a log way down in the middle of the sea. Or is it a bump on a frog? Whatever. That's neither here nor there to cattle. Ship. The Love Boat song. Exciting and new. My point being, I get interrupted a lot, and that's all right. I'm an interruptible kind of guy, and I am interested in what you have to say, and you're interested in what I have to say. That's why you're listening to the show, and I thank you so much. There's a little bit of an applause for you. Angela Merkel denounced white supremacists on the last show. Hey, who stood up for white supremacists yesterday? We'll find out and get to other interesting stories in just a moment. But first, check out MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com, a wonderful website where you can go there, and maybe if you work for TuneIn, you can go, ooh, this is the best show ever. Actually, we have a link to TuneIn to where you can hear us there, as well as we're on Spreaker, Mixcloud, Player FM, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube. I will say, though, the SoundCloud Mike's Daily Podcast is not... It's basically the only shows I upload to SoundCloud are the ones where I have musicians on. So we don't actually have the regular daily podcast there. So I guess I lied. But there's also the Tumblr, Yelp. I'm on Yelp, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And on Vimeo and YouTube. It's all there at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. All the links. Now, you can also help out the show at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com by clicking on the Amazon link. Buy whatever it is you're going to buy on Amazon. I'm going to buy some shoes soon, because I was walking with my dog Basil the Boxer yesterday in the wonderful, what is it called? The park. It's the Anthony Chabot Park. It's a huge park. It includes Lake Chabot. And I was walking there yesterday, and I realized I had my shoes have big holes in them. So I need to get those thrown out. But on my walk yesterday with Basil the Boxer, there were I ran into so many very pretty women walking around. So it pays to go hiking, because pretty women have decided that they need to go hiking too, because it's good exercise and you get to be in wilderness and the scenery, and it's wonderful. So nice people walking the trails of Podcastro Valley, I guess is my point. And you can also help us out too through the PayPal link. Click on that and buy whatever it is you're going to buy, and that helps us out, and you'll become an inglorious Mike's Daily Podcaster, and you'll get a special personalized MP3 for thee from all the Cafe Anyway characters. All that at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. And now the segment called
The Micropedia Insanika.
Well, this happened yesterday. Trump buoyed the white nationalist movement. Thanks. As no president has done in generations, equating activists protesting racism, equating them with neo-Nazis and white supremacists who rampaged Charlottesville over the weekend. Never has he gone as far in defending their actions as he did during a wild street corner shouting match of a news conference in the gilded lobby of Trump Tower, angrily asserting that so-called alt-left activists were just as responsible for the bloody confrontation as marchers brandishing swastikas, Confederate battle flags, anti-Semitic banners, and Trump-Pence signs. David Duke, a former Ku Klux Klan leader, a despicable man who ran for president, when I was a teenager, I think. He wrote in a Twitter post shortly after he spoke, "Thank you, Mr. President, for your honesty and courage to tell the truth." What a ringing endorsement. And it took Trump, by the way, a long time. I think, was it during the campaign that Duke endorsed Trump, and Trump finally said something about Duke, I don't know what he said.
He's a showboat. He's a grandstander.
It may have been that. I don't know. And then Richard B. Spencer, a white nationalist leader who participated in the weekend's demonstrations and vowed to flood Charlottesville with similar protests in the coming weeks, was equally encouraged. Trump's statement was fair and down to earth, he tweeted. Wow. Now, what happened during the... NBC News had this interesting article. Chief of Staff John Kelly stared at the floor, arms crossed. In front of him, Donald Trump, in the middle of reigniting an explosive controversy the White House had tried to extinguish just the day earlier. To Kelly's right, reporters pressed up against the velvet rope to shout questions about the president's response to the violence over the weekend in Charlottesville. Trump pointed at one reporter, then gestured to another. Infrastructure question, he barked at one point. Go ahead. After a split second came the question, does the statue of Robert E. Lee stay up? The ensuing exchange inside the lobby of Trump Tower between reporters and the president over the white nationalist rally and counter-protest in Charlottesville became one of the most extraordinary moments in a presidency. That's seen plenty of them. To his aides, it was stunning. Multiple sources inside and close to the White House described the president's senior staff as confused and frustrated, caught off guard by Trump's decision to defend his initial response to the violence in Virginia. He went rogue, said one senior White House official, telling NBC, under conditions of anonymity. The president's team had choreographed a plan. He would descend the golden elevators of Trump Tower because that's not ridiculous to have golden elevators. What's the point? And step to the lectern in the lobby, flanked by his Treasury Secretary, his Transportation Secretary, his top economic advisor. He would highlight the infrastructure executive order he had just signed, and then he'd leave. Head back upstairs and deploy his aides to handle any inquiries. That's the plan officials prepared reporters for as members of the media gathered in the lobby, as they had so often during the President-elect Trump's transition. The president had been usually talkative the week prior during appearances at his golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey. He was getting ready to battle with reporters. White House Chief Strategist Steve Bannon wasn't there. Asked by a reporter about his future, the president responded, oh, how did he respond? He's uncertain about Steve Bannon's future in the White House. I like Mr. Bannon. He's a friend of mine, but Mr. Bannon came on very late. You know that, he said in the conference. I like him. He's a good man. He's not a racist. I can tell you that. He's a good person. He actually gets a very unfair press in that regard. But we'll see what happens with Mr. Bannon. But he's a good person, and I think the press treats him, frankly, very unfairly. His comments came, of course, a day after New York Times reported that Bannon's role in the White House had become increasingly tenuous as the advisors and confidants urge him to fire him. He is, of course, the former executive chair of Breitbart News, which he once described as the platform for the alt-right. And then the Republican race for Alabama's Senate seat is headed for a runoff as neither former state Supreme Court Justice Roy Moore or Senator Luther Strange managed to get 50% of the vote, despite Senator Luther Strange's endorsement from Donald Trump. The runoff will be held September 26th. And his tweet, he shared a message against racism, and it is officially the most liked tweet ever. Let's hear it for our former president. Yay. And isn't it interesting that once you're president of the United States, you're always president? They always call you President You, or whatever you are named. And that's cool. Like, I wish some of the good jobs that I had, where I actually had like a power, a little bit of a position, like when I was program director, I should still be called program director wherever I go. Although some jobs, like that one where I fried chicken and had to deliver it, maybe I don't want to have that in front of my name for the rest of my life. Hey, it's the guy who delivers chicken and fries it, Mike Matthews. That doesn't quite have the same. I know you guys will always remember me. Thank you. I carry that with me. Obama posted a tweet sharing a quote from Nelson Mandela that condemned racism just hours after a white supremacist rally in Charlottesville turned violent. It became the most popular of all time. And that's got a sting to President Trump. With more than 2.7 million likes 3 days after it was posted. He wrote in the tweet, "No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin or his background or his religion." Simple enough. It beats out Ariana Grande's message to fans after that deadly explosion at that concert in Manchester earlier this year. It is the 7th most retweeted, still trailing Ellen DeGeneres' famous Oscar selfie and a teenager who won free chicken nuggets from Wendy's for having the most retweets ever. Chicken nuggets. All right, let's wrap this up with Facebook. And along with the many other changes Facebook is rolling out, it's also updating its camera application. What's this mean? It means I've got that awful sound on my recording. Sorry. Please put up with this awful whatever sound for the rest of this show. Oh no. Okay. Well, we're going to wrap up the show just by saying, with the technical difficulty I have now as I'm recording, that Facebook is rolling out today. It's updating its camera application on iOS and Android. You'll be able to go live with the camera with the option for your live broadcast to appear in your story. You can use camera effects. Facebook stories haven't exactly lit the social media world, although I know people on Instagram story that have a story up every single day. That's crazy! And that you'll be able to create GIFs from the camera and share them to your timeline or story. One final augment is the ability to make text updates as you full screen post with a colored background. I know this woman that posts a story every day on Instagram, and like most of the time, she's barely clothed. Very exhibitionist, but we are in an exhibitionistic society. As we go outside a cafe anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcaster Valley. Next show, it's going to be hopefully a better sounding show with less of the... Oh, I think my thing went away. Okay, good. Less technical difficulties and more great Mike's Daily Podcast. We will have the wonderful Benita, the disgruntled fiddle player, and the brewmaster. Have a great day. Bon voyage.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Email Mike now at MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!